Gobble, 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 gobble. Amanda from the Happy Homestead here. It's November. I don't even know where the time has gone. I cannot believe we're in November of 2021. Unbelievable, really. So we need to start thinking about Thanksgiving, and I'm going to show you something that you can do today ahead of time to make that Turkey Day prep just a little bit easier. One of my favorite things at Thanksgiving is stuffing. Always, ever since I was a little girl, have loved stuffing. But there's a problem with it, right? When you buy those stuffing mixes in the store, they are full of preservatives and unnatural ingredients. My favorite stuffing, and I remember when I was a young adult and didn't know any better, I would go buy the box of stuffing, starting with an S, ending with a top. So you fill in the blank there. And I would put it in a bowl, put some butter in it, put some water in it, microwave it, and I would eat it. Oh, it pains me to think about that right now. If you look at the back of those processed pre-mixed stuffings, you're gonna most likely find MSG. The one I liked had MSG in it. They're gonna have unnatural preservatives, high fructose corn syrup, and all other things that you just don't need. So I'm gonna show you how to make your own pre-made stuffing mix. Now, this is not something, you can do this the day of, right? I mean, there's so many stuffing recipes out there that you can do the day of. But the point of this is to do something that you can have on hand in your kitchen, ready to go, Thanksgiving or not, any other meal. So let's get our homemade pre-mixed stuffing mix made. So I've got all of my ingredients here, and I just wanted to show them to you. I am using 2 loaves of homemade sourdough bread. This is where you can even make it easier for you. You do not need to make your own bread. You can go buy a loaf of bread, your favorite type of bread. It could already be the sandwich sliced bread, or it could be like a boulé, like a ciabatta, right? Your favorite type of bread. Make sure you're gonna have enough for 12 cups of cubes. So what I'm gonna do is slice this and cube it, put it on a parchment lined baking sheet, and I'm gonna bake it in the oven for about 30 minutes at 350. And the point of that is to really make it hard, right? Get all of the moisture out. So you can go make your own bread to do this with, you can go buy some bread to do this with, or you can go purchase some already unseasoned bread cubes, especially this time of year, like an unseasoned stuffing mix. Just make sure you're reading the labels and you're not getting anything you don't want in there. That's the first thing we're gonna do. But we also have fresh celery, garlic, onion, a lot of herbs, salt and pepper, and this is our butter dish. So we're gonna use butter in here. So what we're gonna be doing is drying out our bread cubes and putting that in a Ziploc bag. We are going to saute in just a little bit of butter the celery, the onion, and the garlic, and then let that cool. And then we're going to make an herb butter. So make sure your butter is at room temp, so it's a little bit soft. And we're going to mix in our sauteed veggies, as well as our salt and pepper and our spices, and really mix that up and then wrap it in like a saran wrap log. And we're gonna then put that in the bag with our breadcrumbs, our bread cubes rather, and then we're gonna store that in the freezer. And it will be good in the freezer up to 3 months, so plenty of time for Thanksgiving. And again, something you can do throughout any time of the year to have on hand. So first, I'm gonna start slicing and cubing. I'm not slicing it too thick, right? Because I really want to be able to dry out the bread. So all of my bread is cut. I have it spread over 2 sheet pans, right, with parchment on the bottom. You want to make sure that you have it in as much as possible a single layer. Now mine is a little bit, it's probably like 1.5, because some of them have stacked and some of them are single layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm baking this at 350 for 30 minutes, but halfway through I'm actually going to take a spatula and kind of turn the bread cubes over. I want to make sure that every cube gets properly dried out. So again, we're using 12 cups of bread cubes. Now you can have this to 6 cups. I'm doing 12, and basically that's gonna make 2 servings or 2 packages. So I will package up 2 separate packages of the pre-made stuffing mix. It would be, again, like 2 boxes of pre-made mix at the store, or maybe like 1 family size box. I had 2 loaves. I'm gonna do 2. So 12 cups for a double batch or 6 cups for a single batch. So the oven's preheated. In the oven these go, and at 15 minutes, I will turn the cubes over. So while those are in the oven drying out, I'm going to start chopping my celery, onion, and garlic and get that sauteed on the stovetop. So just before I walked over here to start cutting the celery, I put my cast iron pan on the stovetop and put it on medium heat just to get it warmed up before we get our things in there. So I'm gonna be doing all of this celery, but remember, I'm doing a double batch. So it's gonna be, I think it should come to about a little over a cup of celery cubes. Well, not cubes. Chopped celery. But you want a cup of chopped celery per batch, right? So I'm doing a double batch, so 2 cups. So I've got my celery diced. I have 2 cups, approximately eyeballing it here, 2 cups worth. So 1 cup per batch. Now, if you have some celery leaves, add those in as well because they add fantastic flavor. I just didn't have any, but those are really good too. I am doing 1 really large onion. So you could do 2 small onions. Again, I'm doing that double batch. Now I'm not separating, right? You're gonna see obviously that I'm not like separating this into 2 batches. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it at the end when we mix everything in. Okay, so I'm ready to start sauteing. Like I said, I've got my butter here. I'm probably gonna take about 2 tablespoons. So 1 tablespoon if you're doing a single batch. And we're gonna get this celery and onion in here to start softening up. Starting to smell like the beginnings of a really good meal. You know how there's like some smells in the kitchen that just really get your salivating glands going? For me, it's onions, garlic, and celery. Now, I haven't put the garlic in yet, but I'm about to. So let's add our minced garlic. And I'm going to add a little salt and pepper as well. All right, these look beautiful. So I'm gonna pull these aside to let them cool. While our garlic, onion, and celery mixture is cooling, and you really do need to let it cool to at least room temperature, because if you try to mix it with your butter now, especially since your butter is pretty soft, it's at room temp, it's just gonna melt it. So we don't really want that, right? So really let your veggie mixture cool down. We have our bread cubes still in the oven. I'm going to flip them very soon. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and mix up our dry spices. So I have thyme, garlic powder, dehydrated onion, parsley, dried parsley, this is all dried parsley, poultry seasoning, which has a lot of these already in it, and ground sage. So why would I be adding garlic powder and dehydrated onion since we already had garlic and onion? Well, the reason is it really intensifies the flavor, right? When something is dried, the flavor is just that much more intense, and it's gonna really bring out everything else. Same with the poultry seasoning, right? So this has sage, thyme, and onion. Well, I already have thyme and I already have sage. Again, I'm just mixing in some poultry seasoning. It's not gonna be nearly as much, but we really wanna get that good flavor within our stuffing. So let's start putting the dry mix together. So we're going to add 4 tablespoons parsley. And these are like heaping tablespoons. So again, you would do 2 if you were doing a single batch. We're also going to add 1 teaspoon. I think I have a half a teaspoon measuring here, so I'm going to put 2 of them, but 1 teaspoon garlic powder. So again, half a teaspoon if you're doing a single batch. Same with the onion. 1 teaspoon dehydrated onion. And you know what, if you have onion powder, that's okay too. We're going to add a tablespoon of thyme. Don't have much sage here, but we'll use what I got. A tablespoon of sage. So again, half a tablespoon if you're doing a single batch. Probably needed a bigger bowl. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon poultry seasoning. Again, I have a half teaspoon measuring spoon here, so I'm doing 2. So mix everything in. We're going to do half of a tablespoon of salt. Sea salt is best. And about a half a tablespoon of freshly ground pepper. Now use the salt and pepper to your liking, right? To what you prefer. And then we're just gonna mix it up. So this is gonna go in with our onion, celery, garlic mixture and the butter. Just make sure if you're using onion powder and garlic powder that you don't have any clumps. Okay, that's good to go. Got our veggies, herbs, butter. We are going to put this all together. I'm going to use this big bowl and basically make like a compound herb butter. So I'm first going to add the spices and herbs in. Kind of just mix that around a bit. So So my butter is in a rather large block. Now, if you think of it like a stick, this is 2 sticks of butter, right? So I'll kind of draw a line down the middle here. That is 2 sticks of butter. We already took about 1 tablespoon off of each side. So you really want 1 full stick of butter. There's a knife. 1 full stick of butter if you're doing a single batch, but if you're doing a double batch like I am, you're gonna want 2 full sticks, right? And then 2 tablespoons of that goes to saute the veggies. So I'm going to cut this in chunks, just so it melts a little bit, or not melts, but it just comes into here a little bit easier. This is gonna feel like a lot of butter, I understand. You are welcome to change the ratio for you. So I've resorted to my hand because it just works faster and easier. If I had kitchen gloves, I would have used them, but I don't. I ran out. So everything is really mixed up well, and it's a little soft. So I'm going to put this in the fridge for just maybe 10 minutes, just to harden it up a little bit. And the point of that is so that I can then create some logs with it. I just need it a little firmer. I just took the bread cubes out. They're still very hot, but they're pretty hard. I'm gonna let them cool. You cannot be bagging them up or doing anything with them until they are fully cool. Otherwise, you're just gonna create steam in whatever packaging you do and then create more moisture. I just took my compound butter out of the fridge. It was in there for maybe 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and get that divided and wrapped up. So all I'm doing is getting some plastic wrap, because I'm gonna roll these or create like a little log of the butter and then roll it up and kind of like Tootsie Roll the ends. And that way it can fit in my Ziploc bag. So all I'm doing is trying to like divide this in half. Now you could get all precise and go weigh everything so you have equal weight, but I am gonna eyeball it. The first one in here. And help shape it. And there's one. Okay, these are gonna go back in the refrigerator right now and really harden up until I put everything in the Ziploc bags. Our breadcrumbs are dry, they are hard, and we're ready to bag them up. So again, I've got 2 batches here, and it's gonna be about 6 cups per batch. Got them all bagged up. It came out to just a little over 6 cups in each bag, and I'm okay with that. So again, you're gonna have 1 of your tubes of compound butter for this. So when it's time to go cook, you're gonna basically empty this into a bowl and add some hot chicken stock, bone broth. I would probably add about a cup, maybe to a cup and a quarter. I'd suggest you eyeball it to see like how much you need depending upon how dry your bread is, what kind of bread you've got, right? And then adding in the melted compound butter and really mixing it all up in your casserole pan and then putting it in the oven just like you would cook any other stuffing mix. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't get hung up on exact measures. If you've been with me long enough here, you'll know that I try not to get hung up on exact measurements. Life is too short to stress about that. So I'll probably do about a cup to a cup and a quarter of bone broth, but again, we'll judge it. And then with the melted butter, mix it all up and then get it in the oven, 350, 375, 20, 30 minutes, right? Until it's nice and crispy up top and soft and wonderfully stuffing-like on the bottom. All right, so I've got both of my bags. I'm gonna go get my compound butter out of the refrigerator and put one in each. So when they're in the fridge, they are gonna firm up nicely. So I'm just gonna add it in here. Try to get as much air out and seal it as best as I can. And I am going to store these in the freezer, even though Thanksgiving is about, what, 3 weeks away. I'm still gonna store these in the freezer, and then I'll probably just take it out the night before I plan to cook it. Actually, what I'll do is probably take out the butter and let that thaw in the fridge, and just let this thaw on the counter, probably with the bag open, again, so no condensation comes through. But in the meantime, these are gonna go in the freezer. Thanks for coming on this journey with me today with homemade stuffing mix. What's so wonderful about it is that you tailor it to what you and your family enjoy. If you want less garlic or no garlic or more garlic and onion, right? You do it how you want it. But the key is that you don't have anything you don't want. The MSG, the high fructose corn syrup, the preservatives, all of that. You don't have to have it in your food. When you're buying things in the grocery store that are convenience foods, packaged products, think about how you can do that at home. It's worth the effort. Thanks so much. Stay healthy, stay well, and happy Thanksgiving. See you next time.